Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be starting in about 4 minutes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Del Ruff, the director of the North Carolina Center for After School Program. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. We've got a couple of different things that are going to be going on, so want to let you know exactly how this will work out. If this is your first time on a Google Hangout, this is a new platform, and so if you have not done a Google Hangout on air, this is a way you can actually communicate across for us across the state, but across your area with different ideas and such. So we're really excited to be utilizing this tool and moving forward. So One of the things I want to do is a little housekeeping to kind of tell you what we'll be doing. So the microphones will be muted. There are several of you who are actually on the screen with me live, and so your microphone will be muted so you can press your chat button, or there's also a question feature. So if you will actually, you should see a little Q&A button, I believe, to your left. So I think it's a blue looking button. You can click that and you can actually ask a question. Once you type in the question, myself or Dr. Allen will answer that question. Later, we will send out links to this, so anyone who is here, or if you forget something, or there was a question asked, you couldn't remember exactly what that question was, or you want to go back through the information to be clear, we will send you the YouTube link in the follow-up. That link will also be at our YouTube channel, which is North Carolina Center for After School Programs, not the NCCAP channel that you may, if you search, you will find an NCCAP channel as well. So today I have with us our STEM Partnership Coordinator, Dr. Sharice Allen, and I'm going to turn it over to her now. Sharice?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be a two-part presentation. First, I'll go over the actual competitive grant application and components of that. And then Mr. Ruff will go over the second component, our STEM effectiveness study, and what that entails. So to begin, the title of the presentation for today are Keys to Preparing a Successful STEMulated Application. I am, as Mr. Ruff stated, Dr. Allen. I serve as the STEM Partnership Coordinator at NCCAP, and I will be the main contact person for the competitive grant component. Our outline today, as I said, our first part of the presentation will be going over the 2015 Get Stimulated in Expanded Learning, Understanding STEM by Design competitive grant and what that entails. The second part of the presentation will cover the STEM effectiveness study, which Mr. Ruff will discuss. So the 2015 Get Stimulated in Expanded Learning competitive grant has the overarching goal of understanding STEM by design. And understanding STEM by design it allows for project proposals to be based on designing STEM activities using the Understanding by Design framework. And so what is the Understanding by Design framework? The Understanding by Design, or UBD framework, is a tool that is currently used to design curricula, assessments, as well as instructional material that is based on a predetermined set of learning outcomes with an overarching goal of teaching for understanding. So that is going to be the basis of these project proposals that you will be submitting. Your proposed STEM learning activities in the proposal should provide students with opportunities that allow them to develop as well as strengthen their understanding of key STEM concepts. And this can be demonstrated by a student's ability to explain, interpret, or apply the STEM concepts that they are learning, as well as provide a perspective on a particular STEM concept, as well as to show that they have a knowledge base regarding a given topic in the STEM area. The program has four major goals. The first goal is to improve students' ability and skill in science and mathematics. The second goal of funded projects would be to encourage and cultivate students' enthusiasm for science and mathematics. Third goal is to develop as well as enhance students' interest in pursuing careers in STEM or in any STEM-related field. And finally, to increase knowledge, skills, and abilities of after-school and expanded learning practitioners in their ability to facilitate STEM programming. And the activities that are going to be designed in your proposed project must align with the consensus developmental outcomes and learning indicators for STEM and after school. So when you begin to look at what kinds of activities you would integrate into your proposal, they have to be centered or based upon these three developmental outcomes. The first outcome is youth develop interest in STEM and STEM learning activities. The second overarching outcome is that youth are able to develop capacities to productively engage in STEM learning activities. Thirdly, that youth come to value the goals of STEM and STEM learning activities. And the chart that is going to be posted in the PowerPoint goes over, has the three developmental outcomes, and it has associated with each outcome indicators of progress as well as sub-indicators where you are able to measure or assess whether or not a student met those outcomes. So that's going to be one of the guiding principles for how you design your proposal. So we'll go over a few more things regarding who is eligible, what we expect from participants, and then we'll go into the meat of the application itself. So first, looking at eligibility, who is eligible to participate. All K-12 after-school and extended learning programs are eligible. This includes programs that are school-based, faith-based, community-based, as well as nonprofit. However, no summer-only programs are eligible at this time. And we will be funding 10 expanded learning programs from across North Carolina in this site, the 2015-2016 cycle. What do we expect from programs that have been selected? The first expectation is that once a program proposal is funded, we expect that 2 staff members attend the 2015 Synergy Conference in Greenville, North Carolina, March 23rd to 25th. NCCAP gets stimulated. Will cover the cost of registration for 2 participants. However, hotel and travel expenses will not be covered. During Synergy, we expect participating programs or participants to attend 2 workshops. The first one is a technical assistance workshop entitled Implementing with Fidelity. So we'll go over the ins and outs of how to manage your grant, how to submit requests for reimbursement of funds for supplies and materials, as well as other housekeeping components of the grant. The second required workshop during Synergy is your first in a series of professional development workshops entitled Defining Scientific Problems Based on Real-Life Situations. And that will also be held in Synergy, during Synergy. After Synergy is over, NCCAP Professional Development Team will host a series of workshops entitled Understanding STEM by Design, and the workshops will be virtual as well as face-to-face. All face-to-face workshops will be held at the Public School Forum of North Carolina during the 2015-2016 grant year. And once your program has been funded, further information regarding the workshop schedule will be provided at that time. But if you have any questions regarding that, the time frame, feel free during the Q&A session to submit a question. A couple of additional expectations are we also require in this grant application a mentoring component. We are asking that participating programs integrate a mentoring component into their existing programs. You can utilize mentors from an existing partnership that you already have, or you can utilize a statewide mentoring initiative called the Million Women Mentoring Initiative, or those in the Raleigh-Durham RTP area, the US 2020. And we'll provide more information to you during Synergy as well as during, if you have questions regarding those issues, you can ask that during at the end of the presentation. The final expectation is that we ask participating programs that are funded to conduct community engagement activities through by hosting either a parent-family night, as well as providing presentations of their engagement in STEM to civic groups, funders, school partners, etc. So how is this going to be funded? If your program is selected, how does the funding actually occur, and what is the funding time frame? The funding will cover grant year 2015, 2016, beginning in March, running into March of 2016. The program stipend is the total amount is $1,500. $300 will cover registration for 2 staff members to attend 2015 Synergy, and $1,200 will be used for the project itself. That will be able to be utilized to purchase science equipment, project materials, or other resources that are needed for you to conduct your project. Also, funds can be used for field trips to local museums, to engage in partnership with other STEM entities or other stakeholders that may be utilized as a resource to support your project. Funds will be distributed on a reimbursable basis from NCCAP once your application is approved by the STEMulated professional development team. And as I said, once if your program is selected during Synergy, during the implementing with Fidelity workshop, we'll go in more detail about how funding will be distributed. So the actual application that you will be submitting is 3 parts. The very first part deals with applicant and program information, where we gather demographic and programmatic information to give us a picture of your program. The second part of the application is your actual project proposal, which I'll go in a little bit more detail about in just a moment. And the third component are a series of additional questions where we're going to find out what kind of resources are already available in your communities, and that will allow you to carry out STEM activities. Also, we want to know how you plan to work with students, how you plan to recruit students into your program for the STEM component, questions of that nature. So looking at the main component, the meat of your project application is your project proposal, and it has 6 parts, and I'll go through those very quickly. First, you have your project title. Your project title should be very concise, but also to the point, where it is going to cover and express what your project is going to be about. The second thing is the second component of the proposal are your developmental outcomes that I spoke of earlier. You have to align your project with one or more of the developmental outcomes as your overarching goal for your project. Thirdly, you have your project description, and this is where you're able to provide an introduction about your project, where you provide a statement of the subject that you're going to cover under your investigation. Also, where you'll state your hypothesis or research question, the rationale for why you're going to conduct the proposed activity. You can provide your background as to what you have done thus far in this area of STEM and how you want to progress further. Also, an overview of the proposed project, what materials you would utilize, what methodologies you would utilize to carry out, or what activities you would engage your students in. And finally, under the project description, you would include your assessment plan, where you would discuss how you're going to evaluate whether or not you were able to meet the outcome that your project is aligned to. The fourth component of your project proposal are your project activities and timeline. It's where you provide a month-to-month breakdown what your activities will be, and when you would implement those. The fifth component is your budget and justification. It's where you provide a listing of materials, software, um, activities such as field trips that you plan to integrate into your project, and the cost of each of those items and how those items will be utilized in your proposal or your proposed project. And then finally, the last component of your proposal is your mentoring plan, where you describe how your program will utilize mentors as a key component of this project. Are there any questions before we move on to the second half of the presentation?
All right, so we're going to, if there's any questions, you can chime in or pop in. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You have a chat feature. You also have the Q&A feature, so feel free to hit one of those at any point in time. We also will have another question point coming up after the next part of our um, webinar. The next aspect of what we're doing in Get Stimulated is a STEM and literacy effectiveness study. And if you've been following North Carolina over the last few years, you're aware in your local school systems that we have something called Read to Achieve, which is our third grade reading initiative. Also in the Roadmap of Need, our 2013 and 2014 version, if you're not familiar, the 2014 version is available on our website with the newest information. Those third grade reading scores, last year we worked with Metametrics, and they determined that third grade reading is a direct correlation to ACT performance of students. So what we're working with this time is an organization or a company wants to look at introducing specific STEM activities into kindergarten, first, and second grade. But the question is will these STEM activities, in conjunction to literacy and books specifically on these topics, will that increase the opportunity for students to be more proficient in third grade reading? So this is a part of NCCAP looking at our research aspect within the after school and expanded learning space. And I know that many of you know that the work that you're doing is impactful, but how do you tell that story is really key and major right now, and that's one of the things that we hear about at the state level. So let's see how that will play out, and we want to see how that will play out over time. We just got a question: are we required to use additional funds? Also, if you're currently attending Synergy, can the $300 be added back? Those funds, if you are currently doing something, Ms. Patton, and that is specifically utilizing your funds for STEM already, that will be in conjunction with that. So you do not need to have match funds for that. You just would utilize the funds that we have. So you can think of it as adding to your STEM funds currently. And if you're already attending Synergy and you've already paid for your registration, then yes, that would be, if you're selected, then yes, you would be able to utilize those $300. We just need to make sure that we have that in place. So as we look at the STEM plus L, the goals for the STEM and literacy is the same as our understanding by design. And these STEM activities are designed to be grade and age appropriate. As I mentioned, kindergarten in this particular study is kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. The ones to think about is where do you want to fit in. So if you can do one grade, two grades, all three grades. The STEM plus L is specifically for those earlier grades. Not to confuse that with the other aspect of understanding STEM by design, which is K through 12. So you have an opportunity to, in a sense, look at both programs. And there's a distinct difference in that there's also books that comes with the early grade program. So if you decide to do a kindergarten program only, then you would be able to utilize the sky kits that comes out and the book on weather and the sky and different things of that nature. If you want to do first grade, that's mainly physical science. So you will get the books and the kit information on that. So it all depends on how you want to develop that. The part of STEM and literacy is what we're looking for is the effectiveness. So there's the difference in that understanding STEM by design is you're putting together all of the ideas because we want you to work backwards. You will create the problem. We'll help you learn how to create that problem in your professional development, how to facilitate all that and move backwards. In the STEM and literacy, excuse me, the focus is on the content that is also connected to our standard course of study, essential skills in science in North Carolina, and literacy. So giving the students also an opportunity to look at different books and take those books home. So we also want to put those books in the kids' hands to go home. So if you are targeting a group or if you have a specific group within your programs that you want to look for, that may be in that age range, the STEM plus literacy may be something for you. Eligibility, as I mentioned again, was kindergarten, first and second grade, after school and expanded learning programs, including the school-based programs, faith-based programs, the community-based programs, nonprofit programs, and one that we left out is the child care development centers. So if you know of any that are looking for opportunities to get involved in activities such as this, please let them know because that fits within the realm that they have primarily in the out of school time. So if the students are at kindergarten through second grade in the child care facility programs, then yes, they would be able to participate as long as it's in the after school or expanded learning time. And I want to talk about what that means because I know that you've probably heard it a couple of times. Expanded learning is before school, after school, and weekends primarily for the cases of what we're looking at. So anything that's on a consistent basis that is going to be held to do it in those times is expanded learning. Now, in definition, expanded learning is also summer programs, but at this current time, we're not looking at the summer-only programs. If you have a summer program that is a part of your year-long excursion within your program, that would be something I would put in my application and say for the length of this time, but as a summer-only kind of initiative, these are not summer-only initiatives. We're looking for 12 programs total, so there's 4 kinder, 4 first, and 4 in the second grade that we're primarily looking for to participate. The expectations are very much the same. The only difference is that at this time, and let's say that you have you participate in the study, you definitely will have one registration fee, and it will all depend upon how great the demand is for participants in the STEM plus L. Well, we will possibly be able to do 2 registration fees. But again, hotel and travel expenses must be covered by the programs or the sites. And that's primarily because we want you to have a vested interest in this. During Synergy, there is a workshop. It will be about a 2-hour workshop on the effectiveness in early grade STEM plus L. And that will be where the professional development training will occur. If you are participating in the study, bring space to pack because you will get the kits there at the conference. So before you leave, you will have everything to get started in your hands to go back. So that will be a part of when you. That's why we want you to come to Synergy as well. But you will have a pre-survey and a post-survey, and then there will be an additional convening, and that convening will be most likely here in Raleigh at the Public School Forum. And that cost will be taken care of for the folks at the end of that. The travel cost to come to Raleigh for that best practices convening will be covered by the effectiveness study. So now we have made it to the end. I have some questions here. We have one, can we apply for different grades? When looking at the STEM plus L, I'm assuming, yes, you can apply for kindergarten, first grade, second grade. You can apply for kindergarten, second grade. You can apply for first and second grade. So there's many different ways that we can do that. So can we apply for different grades? Yes. If you are another question, if you have a program in place, you can have a target group. So if you want to pull out a group and do a study with either the Get Stimulated, the Understanding STEM by Design, or the STEM plus L, you can do that. We are emphasizing what makes sense for your program. We want you to have things that you can sustain over time. So we want it to be something that's going to build your program, that you can have as an experience, but also get some ongoing professional development and feedback from Dr. Allen, myself, and other folks that we bring in to help you around building this STEM capacity in your program. So it's more than just really looking at, you see, one is a effectiveness study which deals with already pre-made kind of opportunity, and then the Understanding STEM by Design is where you as the practitioner or someone in your program will develop the STEM opportunity for students and lead them down that path of discovery. And we want to make sure that you have the skills to participate in that in this out-of-school space.
So can I say one thing, Mr. Russ? So the Understanding STEM by Design, the overall goal for me coming into this was to allow after-school facilitators, as Mr. Russ says, for you to learn how to develop your own project. How you would, and I'm going to take you through the workshop as if you were a student entering an after-school space, where you pick a problem based on some scientific situation in society, and we began to go, if a student comes to you with a question about, say, how do light bulbs work, how can you take them from beginning to end so they can figure that out themselves, just as you would do if you had a child coming and they were starting a science fair project. How do you allow them, based on what resources are available, to design their own experiment? So that's because once they get into higher ed, those are the expectations a lot of times in the coursework, that you're given a problem and you're having to solve it on your own. So that kind of critical thinking has to be developed. And the earlier you learn how to develop that type of problem-solving thinking, the easier it will be when students transition into higher ed.
And I want to make sure that I emphasize from Ms. Patton's question on, if you're already going to Synergy, you can have the $300 added back. So that would be a part of, when you receive your allotment, that will come back to you. If you wanted to have other additional people come to Synergy, you could. If you are coming to Synergy already, you should be looking for the session on Understanding STEM by Design or STEM plus L, whichever one you are awarded. In reality, you could actually be awarded both. So you could say, I want to participate in the STEM effectiveness study, and I want to go through the Understanding STEM by Design. But there is a difference. To understand STEM by Design, you will have to create the problem. If you live, like right now, a big topic in our state is around Duke Energy and their coal ash issue that we have in our state. If you live in that area, that's a problem that you can actually address and have your students go through. and think about. So that's the big difference between those two. Are there any other questions?
To also clarify for them on the application that we have, the application, once you have sent to me your email, I have forwarded to you. Each person, an email should come to you from SurveyMonkey that has the link to your application. The application is for the Understanding STEM by Design. However, if you are interested in also applying for the STEM plus L, that needs to be indicated in your under the project proposal component.
So we've come to the end where we have our contact information. If there's any additional questions or any questions before we log off, go ahead and chime in. If you need any additional information afterwards, you can definitely email Dr. Allen or myself with the emails attached here. Of course, you can always go to www.nccap.net. Which is where you can find our website and find our emails there as well. And also, if you need to provide a phone call, definitely give us a call. Applications will be sent out and are due in February the 27th. And we should know, you should know your award status March the, what's that, Dr. Allen?
March 5th, March 5th.
By March 5th, you will know your award status. So it's a pretty quick turnaround time to make sure that we not only get you in the synergy, but you will know exactly where you stand and actually come to the conference and be able to get information that may be able to build upon what you have and maybe make some connections. But we're really excited to be able to offer this. This particular initiative is funded by Burroughs Wellcome Fund and the North Carolina GlaxoSmithKline Foundation. We are currently also looking to expand this, but this is a good pilot group that we've had over the last 2 days and a good amount of interest. If there's anyone that you know that was not on this call that may be interested with their program or organization, please have them fill out the interest form. These 2 webinars are the 2 that we will do and send out the YouTubes, but the interest form needs to be filled out and completed by February the 18th, because that's the way you get your application. So if you want to share this information, share the interest form, and they can fill it out, and then Dr. Allen will send them an application, but we will take interest forms up to February the 18th. With that, if there's no other questions, comments, or concerns, I will say thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing those applications. Take care.